A fair share of powerful punchers. You got dudes that, knock people out unconscious, dudes that TKO guys. There's also accumulation punchers. There's different kind of punchers. But today we're focusing on a small group of powerful concussive punchers. So the first fighter I want to discuss is Anatoli Malakin. I hope I'm saying his name right. I always have problems saying this. The current one championship heavyweight champion. He's also the first MMA three-weight champion. The dude is an absolute thunderous puncher. He seems like he has the power that lands a little slower, but as soon as it touches your chin, you're gonna fold. You're going down. Your head's bouncing off the canvas. I hope we at least see him in maybe PFL or hopefully the UFC. I don't know if he might be saucy or something, but that dude belongs to fight with the elite of the elite. I think he's 36 years of age already. So besides all that, I will put Anatoly Malakin at the S tier. So the next fighter up on the tier list is Michael Chandler. So Michael Chandler, I've been following his career for a while. Former Bellator champion. So speaking of Bellator, that's where I'm gonna get to. Michael Chandler has always been an explosive puncher, a one-shot put you out guy. But I've noticed that since he got to the UFC, he hasn't really one-shot a lot of guys aside from Dan Hooker. He landed flush on Justin Gaethje. I don't believe Justin Gaethje has the greatest chin. I mean, Max Holloway put him out cold. Like Justin Gaethje's always had a shaky chin. He's been through so many wars. He gets hurt in almost every fight. Charles Oliveira hurt him in the first 10 seconds of their fight. Like, I just don't rate Justin Gaethje's chin. He landed clean on Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier has a good chin, but I just think that Chandler would land on those guys. He would put them away. Even Charles Oliveira was able to survive. So I don't know what it is. I could speculate why when he went to the UFC he wasn't one shot knocking out guys. I'm gonna put Michael Chandler at the B tier, and I say that because in the UFC he's not having the same results. In Bellator he knocked out Pitbull. He knocked out a lot of guys. Cole, Benson Henderson knocked these dudes out, but he's not having the same results. The next fighter up on the tier list, speaking of the devil, Justin Gaethje. I'm just gonna be honest. Like I was saying, his technical ability is pretty off. His punch form, a lot of things are off. So I think like mechanically, he could punch a little more harder if he was doing things correctly. But he kind of slaps on his hooks, and I think that actually, he doesn't deliver with the full power that he can. I think he is very powerful. He has stinking punches, it seems like. But for the most part, he hasn't had a knockout in a very long time. And the guys that he's knocked out are very chinny. And then again, the dudes that he's been landing on, he's not having as much effect nowadays. So I would put Justin Gaethje at the B tier. Respectable power, but nothing insane. The next fighter up on the tier list is Jeffrey Neal. So Jeff Neal has nasty power at welterweight. A lot of it comes from his straight punches. When Jeff Neal is healthy and he lands on you, it doesn't matter who you are at welterweight, he's gonna hurt you. We even seen that with Shavkat Rakhmonov. Shavkat is one of the most durable fighters in UFC, and he was hurting him. It's just a proof of his power. He's put a lot of guys away. Very devastating puncher. I'll put Jeff Neal. I want to put him at the A tier, but I'm gonna put him at the B tier because besides RDA, recently he hasn't shut a lot of guys off. So I gotta be unbiased. I do think he has nasty power, of course, but so the next fighter up on the tier list is Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis, he shut a lot of guys off. He knocks a lot of heavyweights out. He's been doing it since he got in the UFC. Nuclear puncher, very slow, but when he lands, he has like the clubbing, like break your bones, fucking fat ass power. So honestly, I'm actually gonna put Derek Lewis at the S tier for power. The next fighter up on the tier list is Tom Aspinall. So Tom Aspinall, one of the fastest hands we ever seen in heavyweight. It's kind of crazy because when he got into the UFC, he stopped some guys, but it was kind of more like the speed, the precision, and just being too much for his opponent. But now, like, he's actually putting guys away, like devastatingly knocking them out. Granted, Curtis Blade's pretty chinny, but to knock out Pavlovich like that is very impressive. 1-2, and then follows with another 1-2, puts him out. He has nasty power, and he has speed, so I think that just enhances his power. I'm kind of torn if I want to put him at S tier or A tier because I think he needs to, I kind of want to see if he could do this to maybe Gane or Jones or something, and then I'll be like, okay, this guy has S tier power. So for now, I'm gonna put him at A tier when it comes to power. He could easily be S tier, but I just want to see if he could do it to a few more guys. So the next fighter up on the tier list is Sean O'Malley. So Sean, he has respectable power off the back foot. Most of his power comes from there. His power is really only in his right hand. He doesn't really have power in the left hook, it seems. And it's usually the straight down the pipe. He's put some guys out cold. Yeah, they're old fighters. He put Aljo away, which is impressive. I would put Sean O'Malley at the B tier. I don't think he has, one shot knockout power for the most part. Or unless he maybe counters you. I don't think his power is like nuclear or going to set you off with one. The next fighter up on the tier list is Roberto Soich. Current one championship fighter. Roberto Soich has always been very, very underrated. He actually just lost last year. He got beat the fuck up. I can't even lie. But hopefully he comes back. I kind of been speculating if he was on the juice for a long time. But that dude can punch. Southpaw, left hand. He's knocked out DDP. He's knocked out, I forgot the Russian guy's name, but a very good fighter at middleweight. He has a lot of power. He showed it in 2 divisions, and he puts guys out cold. He should have just went to the UFC. I don't even know why he went to one championship. That was stupid. But anyways, I put Roberto Solich actually at the A tier. So the next fighter up on the tier list is probably going to be a little shocking to some people, but Aaron Pico. Very accomplished wrestler. People don't know he actually has a boxing background, and you can see it in his hands. He has good boxing. He has power in his left hand, his right hand. Both hands he has power. He shuts a lot of guys lights out. He's very explosive, fast, twitchy. I would actually put Aaron Pico at the A tier when it comes to power. Next fighter up on the tier list is Dustin Poirier. So Dustin Poirier has good power, but he's more of a volume puncher. He'll get you out with like 5 or 6 combinations off the fence. I would overall put Dustin Poirier at the B tier for power. I don't think he's a nuclear like one shot knock you out guy, but if he hurts you, he will take you out. I think he's definitely in B tier for power. The next fighter up on the tier list is Israel Adesanya. So Adesanya, he's more of an opportunist puncher. So like if he counters you, I think he could hurt most guys. He's not the biggest one-shot knockout guy. I know he knocked out Pereira, but we really don't see that from Adesanya. Especially at this stage, he's landing on dudes and he's not really getting the same results aside from Pereira. So Adesanya, honestly, I wouldn't put him at C tier, but he has enough knockouts to keep him at B tier. I just don't really think he's a huge puncher, but I'll keep him at B tier. So the next fighter up on the tier list is Josh Emmett. So before I say where I'm going to place Josh Emmett, we have to keep in mind when I rate the power punchers, it's pound for pound. So obviously, smaller guys are not going to have more power than the bigger guys, but pound for pound is a little different. So Josh Emmett is a concussive nuclear puncher. He knocks guys out with one shot. I'm not going to keep this one long. He's an S tier puncher, very big puncher. The next fighter up on the tier list is Jusuf Duplessis. So Jusuf Duplessis, there's been a big narrative that he's some like massive puncher. He does have good power, but he's not a one-shot knockout guy for the most part. Like if you have a shaky chin and he lands on you, he's going to put you away. But guys that are durable or have respectable chins, he doesn't put those guys away. So I think he has good power and he's dangerous, but I will put him at the B tier when it comes to power. The next fighter up on the tier list is Conor McGregor. So Conor McGregor, we don't know if he's going to fight or not. So I put him in this tier list because I think there's a possibility he might come back. I'm leaning towards the way that he's not going to come back. But besides that, Conor McGregor's always been a really accurate, precise puncher with good power. At 145, honestly, he was an S tier puncher. No one can really endure Conor's power. But at 155, we've seen Dustin Poirier. Eddie Alvarez took the power until he couldn't. Habib was able to withstand Conor's power as well. I think Conor is a very dangerous puncher. I'm going to put McGregor at A tier for power. I don't really feel comfortable with that placement, but I think that he should be A tier. The next fighter up on the tier list is the current PFL champion and the former UFC heavyweight champion, Francis Ngannou. So we've seen what he does. Knocked out Overeem, knocked out all these guys, hits you with any hand, he's going to put you away. There's no sugarcoating it. He's S tier. The biggest puncher we've ever seen in combat sports. No debate. So the next fighter up is the current 205 UFC champion, Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira is another guy that you can't sugarcoat. He's S tier for power. Power in his left hook, power in his right hand. He put so many guys out cold. Very concussive puncher. He electrocutes you when he lands. and there's no other tier that he belongs in. The next fighter up on the tier list is Ilia Toria.
Best athlete in this division.
So Toria is a very big puncher in his own right. He wasn't able to get Josh Emmett out of there. I do think Josh Emmett's chin's a little suspicious, but nevertheless, he's knocked out a big lightweight in Jai Herbert. I know he's chinny, but still knocking out a guy that's significantly bigger than him shows that his power carries up, pound for pound. He has power in his left hand, power in his right hand. He punches correctly. And I think most of his power is from his precision and his punch mechanics. But I think right now Topuria belongs at the A tier for power. Eventually he will be S tier, but he needs to put more guys away, and then we could put him at that tier. So the last and final fighter on the tier list is a current PFL/Bellator fighter and Glory pound for pound kickboxing champion, two-weight champion as well, Cedric Dumay. So I've always been a big fan of Dumay. I wish he was in the UFC. It didn't work out, all the contractual, things with France and whatever. But if you don't know who Dumay is, go watch his highlights. The dude is a nasty puncher. Power in his left hand and nuclear power in his right hand. He actually lands his overhand. That's his best punch. But for some reason, the overhand is, kind of a harder punch to be precise with. And he's always been able to find the mark with the overhand. It's crazy how, precise he is with it and accurate. Pound for pound, I think he's one of the biggest punchers in MMA today. He has power in both hands. Very good boxer as well. Very good kickboxer. He punches correctly. He knows how to deliver his power, such as guys like Topuria. Dudes that punch correctly. I think he's one of those guys that you could not get touched by. He's going to put you away. Cedric Dumay belongs at the S tier when it comes to power. There's no debate. Dude is a crazy puncher. So that concludes the tier list of the best pound for pound punchers in MMA today. Let me know in the comments if I missed anyone, and let me know if you disagree with any of the placements. Subscribe and like the video. I'll greatly appreciate it.
What do you think about that?
I don't give a fuck what Eddie says. Who gives a fuck? The Irish are back. We've taken back control of New York City. I run New York City. I'm a fucking pimp. Rocking Gucci mink. And without me, this whole fucking ship sink.